episode 5 of Mom Proof. The art of being comfortable with the uncomfortable. Oh my gosh, we should thank everybody for listening, right? That's pretty cool.
Totally.
Thanks, friends, family.
Yes.
We're going to run out of friends and family at some point, but for now, we'll just hang in and say thanks. But it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. This is a perfect time to be talking about our teenagers, right?
Completely. And at this point, there's probably a lot more tears than there is laughter. But if there's one thing to gauge right now is like, how are they doing? It is a good time to check in. What are you thinking about how you'll do that with Sophia, though?
I mean, we kind of check in all the time, but I usually look for, because you know your child. So I'm like, is she quieter than normal? Is she sleeping more than normal?
Yeah.
Or like, I notice if she's not going to the gym, I'm like, hey, why don't you go work out? Just kind of, it's been difficult trying to keep her motivated, just getting to school.
Right.
But that I think is normal because they're like also thinking it's the end of the year.
They're done, man.
Yeah, senior or not. That's,
Senioritis.
It's a good time to check in. And just make sure everything is cool, right? Whether you've got a freshman or whatever.
Oh, completely. I mean, and you need to check in with your partners too, right? Because at this point, that stress level could be permeating through the family, And I don't know, at our house, there's been a lot of like little bickering, little kind of snappy answers. So those are sometimes just signs that maybe your kid or your partner, friend feels stress.
Partner, friend, boyfriend.
Boyfriend.
Right? That's an opportunity to actually say something nice. Like, hey, this is tough for us, right? But thank you for having patience and thank you for leaning in. I mean, my boyfriend has been amazing with this whole graduation thing. He's like, I understand if you need time to process it. And in my mind, I'm like, no, keep going. I just got to keep going. So I wonder if Avery's doing the same thing too, right?
Yeah.
Our kids are like,
schedule.
Yeah.
I think it's important to acknowledge, like say, hey, even if they're not talking about it, is just say, hey, it's okay. I can only understand or feel how overwhelmed you are or how you're trying to balance all these feelings out and you can't, figure out if you're scared, if you're happy, it's overwhelming. But I think just acknowledging that you understand that something's going on or that it's normal is almost like very healthy too for them, in my opinion.
I think that's a great lead into thinking about like, how do you know when they're not in the range of happy or just normal stress? And a kind of nugget I learned the other day was stress is actually good. Stress can be bad, right? So we don't survive without stress. Stress drove someone to develop wheels for a car, so we have cars the way they are today. Like stress leads to creativity and change, but like we can't get all, wonky if our kids are just having some stress. So let's look at how we can differentiate. So y'all probably know, you don't have to be a trained therapist to know, what are some of the signs we've heard about kids that may be having depression? I'll do like a yes, no, whether you nailed it.
But you know what? Before you go to that, let's go back to the stress part because that's interesting about, we want our kids to know you got to be comfortable with being, like stress is uncomfortable. We hate it. We want to fix it immediately. How do I not be stressed out? I'm going to meditate or I'm going to do this. God, I try that. Never fucking works. But just saying, you know what? It's cool to be stressed right now. It doesn't feel good, but you're going to get something out of this. It's going to make you stronger for later.
Spot on. Has anyone experienced it with their kids though yet? Like let's, okay, so this is all the stuff we know. I'm thinking if I had an example, and I'm not sure I do, where I was able to teach it. Did you teach it though yet, like that particular skill?
Well, I'm spoiled in the fact that my daughter comes to me and says, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling depressed.
You are spoiled with that.
What is
you are.
What
the So she tells me.
Yeah, no, go.
But I think, like, even though my son's young, I can tell when he's very quiet. Mm-hmm. Like he's normally quiet, but when he's extremely quiet, won't talk and won't come out of his room, then I know something's going on. Like something happened, and he won't tell me. He just won't talk about it. But then I try and distract him. It's like, let's play a game. Let's play Uno or whatever. And then like try and like do conversation. Let's just throw in little, not saying, hey, what's wrong with you, but kind of say like, hey, how was your day? Or is there anything fun that happened?
Doesn't work with 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
Hey, kids,
they're
want to play Uno?
us.
They are on to us. They sniff out adults that are like, can I trust
know.
them?
If one more kid says to me, don't do the therapist talk. Like, well, tell me how you feel about that.
That one is pretty canned, though. Okay, here's an alternative
but I paid
to that.
a lot of money.
I know,
to
but you
learn
probably
that
overpaid.
over the years.
Here's what you want to say, and I know you know this. Like, it looks like something's bothering you. What's going on? Or, by the way that you and I have been interacting, I feel like there's something else going on here. Like, literally try to name what you see as the lead in. You know what I mean?
That's great advice.
Yeah. So name it, and then you can be like, because I'm wondering. So anyway. Has that actually happened, though, with my children? Yes. So that one is tried and true.
And do they react well to it?
Well, they haven't caught on to me till now because I'm telling them that's the same hook into saying, what's wrong with you? Something's wrong, And so it's just, you can't say that.
So do you just say, like, I noticed that you've been sad?
Yes.
Or things like that? Or I noticed that you haven't gone to the gym. Or that you're staying home more than usual.
Yeah. Or, the way you and I interact, it seems like we're always fighting. And then hopefully at that point you get something, if you pause and there should be something they give you just to that, and then you keep asking questions and you're getting to it.
But what do you do if they don't?
Yeah. So like, for instance, let's role play real quick.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you.
You're going to ask me.
Hey, I noticed that you've been very quiet recently.
Yeah, well, I just am. I'm tired right now. So, okay, let's see what y'all would say to that.
I know, but you've always had the same amount of things going on, but it seems like something in particular has you a little, not feeling well or...
Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know, Mom. I'm just tired and I'm just not sure if I want to go off to school. I mean, if we got that nugget, that would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I gave too much. Sandra, you did great right then. That was really good.
That is really good. Oh my gosh.
Just keep asking questions.
That'll be $135.
Yeah.
Right? If only, though, that's such great advice.
It's just one,
those little things.
Yes.
Because if we slow down sometimes and stop with the what's wrong, what's wrong? What's wrong? Well, what's wrong? Are you stressed?
Imagine if we asked each other that. We got in the car.
Oh,
like,
you're right.
Jamie, what's wrong?
That's like nothing.
Yes.
Oh, girl, bitch, it's been a day. That's what's wrong. Let me tell you.
Well, the one thing that kind of worries me, or I think like, is if they're not feeling well, and what are they doing to cope with the stress that they're feeling? Like, are some of our kids drinking? Are they using that as a relief? Are they?
You know what? That's a really good point.
Yes.
What's going on with them? What are the things that they're doing to cope?
Yeah.
Their own coping mechanisms that they're using to deal with
it. What coping mechanisms are we as parents modeling? Just saying.
Yes.
Sorry. Throw that in real quick.
No, you're right. I have my glass of wine every night.
I'm not
definitely
saying
not.
you.
I lost my Mother of the Year award a long time ago.
Yeah.
But that is so true because I think that goes back to being uncomfortable. And this is going to get maybe old of saying this, but our kids, we've rescued them. Or I certainly have through the years with my other kids, kid number 6. Yep. I took them their lunch at school. I took them their notebook that they forgot. I know I wasn't supposed to do all that. I tried to act like I didn't do it all the time, but I'm just going to be real with it now. I'm done. The enabling part. Yep. Just you do it sometimes. And it just goes to show you as they get older, and I can see different things in different children of mine. Yeah. That had I done it a little bit differently, maybe they would have been able to handle stress in a different way. Now, who knows, right? Nothing may have helped. But the fact that you can just say, you got, it's not going to feel good.
Yeah.
And we as parents have to let that be.
Yeah.
And you got to cry. I mean, my kids seen me go through a divorce. That's ugly.
That is
and you had to be real with it. At first, I was trying to hide everything.
Yep.
But you can't. You gotta, and it's stressful.
And so, what do you do if you notice, for example, that maybe your child is doing things.
Not healthy coping strategies, like just looks unhealthy.
Or that they're using other stuff to cope with what they think is taking the edge off or, just kind of like, exactly.
Right?
So what do you do?
Like, you confront it in a loving way that acknowledges it, naming the behavior again. So we notice that you're drinking more, or you're binge drinking, or you vomited like this time, or, you're escaping in ways that aren't healthy. What are you trying to run from? What is it? And so that's a way to get underneath. And as a therapist, I don't want to just go off on those kind of things, but seriously, your kids, their behaviors will show you messages, right? And we all just need to slow down and watch it.
You have to be.
Yeah, you got to keep keyed in, even at this age.
It could manifest too in other ways, maybe in their eating, maybe they're not eating.
Good one,
maybe
Sandra.
they're overeating. Maybe there's just so many things.
Look for the cuts, right?
Yeah.
Not to go too dark, but look for the body.
Yeah.
Or significant marks.
Well, I know there was a lot of before prom of how we're not going to eat this week. We're not going to eat that day. So we're not loaded. We're not.
I'm going to drink though.
This.
I know, sorry, but I meant just that's a bad combination, as we all know.
But it's saying those things out loud, right? You're beautiful the way you are. Just straighten your girlfriend's crowns.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Or even be a little. I mean, I don't know. I try because all of them, especially girls, go through that process of, it's prom, I have to look a certain way, or we're going to the beach, I have to look a certain way. I mean, we as women do this, okay?
Yes.
But maybe, like I've said, you're doing such a great job working out. You should probably eat more protein. That'll help you, because
How did that go over?
Well, I find if I say, you need to eat because you haven't been eating, that doesn't go over well.
Oh, no.
So I have to throw something else in there, but it's such a hard thing because
the restricting. The restricting of eating is something, that I would say is more prevalent. I think within the way our particular community is built, that is more what we see.
Right.
On the clinician end of it, of just eating disorders. But, and that is a good one to bring up, Sandra, because we think some coping strategies could be things that are, okay, it's all kids do it. It may not be harmful, but things like eating disorders can lead to hospitalization, and drinking can lead to drinking and driving. So we know, right? We're still kind of concerned. We're sending these kids off, even if they're not going to college. Hopefully they're moving out of our homes. And they're adulting.
Yes.
So that's a lot.
Are they terrified? I remember being terrified of adulting. Although I would say probably not. My parents certainly didn't set me up like we set up our kids.
Gosh, not at all.
I think we were just more independent. I don't know. I feel that way.
Well, they were hands off in probably a way that, remember we talked about it, maybe too extreme. We've swung to the other side. Right. Who knows, man?
But Sandra, you brought something up recently and you talked about we child-proof or baby-proof them.
Yeah, when they're young, we're child-proofing the house, making sure they don't get into things, and now they're going off to college. How do we can't really adult-proof because there is no, we can't protect them from everything. They're going to go out into the world, but giving them tools, I think, instead of thinking of how can I protect them is hey, how do I send them off with their toolkit? How do they deal with these things? I think that's something that
we're talking about washing and cleaning and stuff like that. Even
exactly.
I know. Can you make
It's a big toolkit.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a big toolkit.
When one of the kids was in rehab, I think that I heard that from the counselors over and over again. Our job is to try and give these kids a full toolbox. When they leave, they have things to go to. If they're anxious, depressed,
that's
sad, they know how to cope with it.
That's a good one.
I don't know that they get it down that early, but at least they have the go-tos. But you're right. There's no adult proofing. If only.
If only, right?
Well, I feel
stay away from the bad guys.
I do feel mom stronger, bigger, faster.
Well, it's funny. Last weekend, my daughter was upset for just 1,000 things happening, right? And she called me and said, hey, I'm feeling really sad. And I was going to go out with my friends.
So good.
She gets this good information.
I was sitting at home and I said, well, you know what? Well, we're just going to go out and we're going to go. And we ended up going downtown and it was a beautiful day.
So fun.
So then she was in a really good mood. So I was like, you see? And I said, thank you for reaching out and letting me know how you felt.
God, what a
because
moment.
That's what you need to do when you're away. Have your little group of friends that you can reach out to, right?
Yeah.
Good.
So fast forward the next day, I was feeling down And she called me and she goes, I can tell you're feeling down.
Wow, this kid's a therapist in the making.
She is.
I know she
And
is.
she says, remember yesterday when you said thank you? She goes, now I need for you to tell me. So it was like, talk about the teaching moment is like, okay, do as you say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
She
do
is
it.
an old soul, man. There's no way that kid's just 18, right? That's very brilliant. Way to go, kiddo.
So it was like, exactly, reach out,
And her
getting
mother's
them-
brilliant.
Aw,
But
thank you for
yes,
that.
I was just, in my head, I realized
you.
that's through osmosis, you naturally would because I complimented your kid. But you are really cool.
Thank you. But yeah, it's those are part of their tools though. Like reach out to your, while you're, I think when you go off to college, maybe like we talk about the young kids having 5 people they can depend on, adults.
Thank you for
They
reminding
need to
us.
have maybe a couple friends that they can reach out to when they're
or
feeling
other
down.
adult. I mean,
Right,
who's
other
closest to the
adults, right.
community out there? Maybe you have family, friends, wherever their college is or their next step.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's when you got to encourage them to get out of the bubble. And I've seen this happen, and we should talk about this a little bit on the next episode.
Excellent.
Of when they're off, how they feel, what we can do to encourage them to get out, don't stay in, those
Nice.
sorts
How to
of
make
things.
these
So,
connections.
yeah.
And then they're going to come home.
And then they're going to come home.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, they're going to come home and then hopefully they're, going to have already had a little taste of what school was about. And, maybe at that time, is that a good point to check in with them, like this, how do you get them to open up about their experience from college?
That's a good conversation. We may have to
have a
save that
friend
for
that-
another episode. That's a good one.
her
That's a
daughter
good-
called her every day. And I feel like my daughter will do the same.
Yes, I think
feel
yours
like
will- yours will.
now, my son, I had to make sure his phone was actually working.
Send them a signal.
Yeah. Hello, are you there? But it is, that will be very interesting how things shift.
Let's definitely come back to that on another episode because that's a great topic you just brought up.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to wrap for today. Y'all are awesome. Short but sweet, I think.
Always.
All right. Well,
Keep
thank
on
you.
Moving on. Mental Health Awareness Month.
Peace out.
That's right.